You tell the joke. Nobody laughs. For half a second, the room seems to lose oxygen. Someone looks down at a glass. Another person shifts in a chair. You smile as if the punchline was never meant to matter. Then your mind begins searching for the damage. Was the joke confusing? Was it offensive? Did everyone understand it and decide that you were the problem? A direct criticism can hurt more deeply than silence. This is not a scientific rule that silence always feels worse. Here, worse means the sudden social threat created when a joke receives no usable response. Criticism gives you painful information. Silence leaves several painful possibilities alive at once. Your body may react before that analysis finishes. Heat reaches your face, your posture tightens, and the next few seconds feel much longer than they are. The intensity is not proof that the audience has rejected you. It is the sensation of a social prediction failing in public, where everyone can witness the missing response. That difference matters because a joke is not only a piece of entertainment, it is a small social bid. You briefly ask other people to enter the same interpretation of a moment, accept the same harmless violation, and show that they are still aligned with you. Laughter is the quickest receipt. When it never arrives, your brain is not only judging the joke, it is trying to judge the relationship. Laughter carries more social information than its sound suggests. In one cross-cultural study, 966 people from 24 societies heard extremely brief recordings of two people laughing together. The speakers were either established friends or strangers who had only just met. With almost no context, listeners identified friendship above chance, reaching about 61% accuracy overall. The clips were roughly a second long. The study did not show that every laugh is honest or friendly. Laughter can be polite, nervous, mocking, or aggressive. What it showed was narrower and more useful. The human ear can extract information about affiliation from tiny pieces of shared laughter. A laugh is not merely evidence that something was funny. It can also sound like evidence that two people belong together. That is why the moment after a punchline feels unusually exposed. Normal conversation gives you many ways to recover. A listener can nod, answer, disagree, or ask a question. A joke creates a short window in which one response dominates all the others. You launch the line, then wait for the group to confirm that the meaning landed safely. Workplace experiments make this risk visible. In a series of studies, people evaluated job candidates or coworkers who made humorous or serious remarks. Whether an audience laughed changed how observers judged the joke teller's competence and status. Successful, appropriate humor could raise both. An inappropriate joke followed by silence could lower them. But the same research produced an important reversal. When an appropriate joke failed to get laughter, the joke teller did not necessarily lose status compared with someone who gave a serious response. Silence removed the potential benefit of humor, but it was not automatically social destruction. The mind inside the silent room often reaches a harsher conclusion than outside observers do. So why does the feeling remain so intense? Part of the answer comes from research on being ignored. In 3 role-play studies, participants acted out a 5-minute train ride. 2 people either argued with the person between them or ignored that person. The targets who were ignored reported lower satisfaction of basic social needs than the targets who were involved in the verbal dispute. An argument is unpleasant, but it still recognizes your presence. Someone is responding to you, tracking your words, and revealing the conflict. Being ignored removes that structure. You do not know whether to repair, defend, explain, apologize, or leave. Even negative attention can provide a map. Silence can remove the map while leaving the threat. A meta-analysis of 120 studies involving 11,869 participants found a large average effect of ostracism in the virtual ball-tossing task, commonly used to study exclusion. The effect appeared across different ages, countries, game structures, and measures. These laboratory games are not the same as telling a joke at dinner, and they cannot prove that every awkward pause is experienced as ostracism. They do show how quickly reduced social response can threaten belonging, self-esteem, control, and the sense that your presence matters. The ancient part of this story begins before jokes existed in their modern form. Comparative research finds important similarities between human laughter and the play vocalizations and open-mouth play faces of other great apes. Young apes produce laugh-like sounds during tickling and rough play. Across several species, playful expressions help signal that biting, chasing, wrestling, or sudden movement should not be interpreted as a real attack. The observable pattern is clear. During risky play, participants use visible and audible signals that help keep the interaction inside a safe frame. Researchers can compare anatomy, acoustics, facial movements, and the contexts in which these signals appear. Those observations support evolutionary continuity between older play expressions and parts of human laughter. They cannot reconstruct the private thoughts of a particular ancestor, and they cannot prove that an ancient person felt exactly what you feel after a failed joke. A careful interpretation is that laughter inherited an old social job before human language expanded its uses. It helped communicate something like, "This is play. The relationship is intact. The apparent violation is not an attack." Human laughter later became far more flexible. It can smooth conversation, mark affection, show embarrassment, reward a storyteller, soften disagreement, or unite one group at another person's expense. This matters because humor still depends on crossing a boundary without losing the group. A punchline bends a rule of language, expectation, status, morality, or common sense. The audience has to recognize the violation and also recognize that it is safe enough to enjoy. Laughter publicly confirms both judgments. Ancestral social life was not a friendly comedy club. Small groups contained rivalry, punishment, conflict, and exclusion, and losing reliable social support could carry serious costs. The ancient comparison does not mean every quiet audience is preparing to expel you. It means sensitivity to social feedback was never a trivial feature. Missing signals deserved attention because relationships affected protection, food sharing, childcare, information, and access to allies. In that setting, feedback was often difficult to avoid. The same people lived, worked, traveled, and solved problems together. A failed attempt at play, teasing, or affiliation would usually be followed by more behavior, a facial expression, a correction, a change of distance, a new interaction, or an obvious conflict. The episode could develop into clearer evidence. A modern silence can be strangely incomplete. The meeting moves on. The group chat changes topic. The person across the table checks a phone. No one explains whether the joke was unheard, misunderstood, inappropriate, unfunny, or simply delivered while everyone was distracted. The social alarm activates, but the environment provides no definite ending. One useful interpretation comes from predictive processing. In plain English, your brain is constantly guessing what is happening and updating those guesses from feedback. After a joke, it predicts some sign of shared understanding. Laughter is a strong correction signal. Criticism is also a correction signal, although an unpleasant one. Silence creates a prediction error without explaining how to correct it. That leaves several models competing in your head. Maybe the joke failed. Maybe your timing failed. Maybe the group dislikes you. Maybe someone was offended. Maybe nothing important happened. Because the social cost of missing genuine rejection could be higher than the cost of briefly overreacting, your attention leans toward the threatening explanations. This is an inference that helps connect the evidence. No study has demonstrated one complete ancient to modern chain inside the brain of every joke teller. Individual differences also matter. A person who is already uncertain about the group, highly sensitive to rejection, or speaking across a status boundary may experience the same pause more strongly. A close friend's silence and a new manager's silence are not the same signal. The pause itself is also unreliable. Some people laugh quietly. Some need an extra second to understand a line. Some suppress laughter in formal settings. Cultural rules change when laughter is appropriate, who may laugh first, and how openly amusement should be shown. A silent room can contain confusion, restraint, distraction, disapproval, or delayed amusement. That is the complication your alarm system cannot immediately see. Silence contains less information than criticism, but the mind often treats that absence as evidence of the worst answer. The feeling is real. The verdict is not. Return to the room. Someone changes the subject, and you feel an urge to explain the joke, apologize for it, or produce another one fast enough to erase the first. What you are trying to recover is not comedy. You are trying to recover responsiveness. The clearer reframe is that a failed laugh is missing social feedback, not a complete measurement of your value. Criticism closes one possibility, however painfully. Silence keeps several possibilities open, and an ancient social mind dislikes an open question when belonging may be involved. The room did not condemn your joke, it simply gave your brain no ending.